Chapter 1, A young boy, no taller than 4 feet, was seen running frantically across the alleyway, on his tail a mob of 11 or 12 villagers. To kids his age, this would seem confusing and frightening, but not for this said boy. For him, it was a regular occurrence. Wearing a great tattered hand-me-downs, and shorts with stitches and holes in many places, he sighed as he hit a dead end. Great, it's like Cammy just hates me. He thought bitterly. He realized a while ago that crying and begging won't do anything, so he just dealt with it. The boy with dull, seemingly lifeless eyes just knelt down, his hair shadowing his eyes. I wonder how long it'll take for the Onbu to rescue me this time. One of the villagers sneered at him. So, you brat, finally realized that running would do you no good? No response. Answer me, trash, he screeched as he kicked the boy hard in the chest. He flew a couple of feet back but didn't so much flinch. A couple of people laughed at him, and before long they all started attacking him. Punching, kicking, stomping, slapping wherever they could, before finally, after what seemed like hours, which, by this time, he was already in blissful unconsciousness, an Onbu with a dog mask, short, gravity-defying silver hair appeared at the scene, along with another Onbu with long, purple hair, a cat mask and a weasel-masked Onbu, a bit shorter than the other two, with black hair done in a ponytail appeared. The ones with the dog and weasel mask grabbed the villagers and body flickered out of there, most likely shunshined them to the TNI department, while the cat-masked one picked the boy up in a fireman's carry and roof-hopped to the Hokage tower. She dropped him off in front of the Hokage's office, where she knocked on the door. A muffled "come in" was heard from the office. She opened the door, and saw an old man, with a red and white hat on his head, and red and white robes. This man was Hiruzen Sarutobi, the 3rd Hokage of the hidden village in the leaves. He was smiling at who came in, but the second he noticed the limp body over her shoulder, he frowned. He truly cared for the boy. But there wasn't much he could do, without revealing his heritage to the villagers, and by extension, the world, which would render them vulnerable to Iwagakure, and most likely Kumagakure as well. Currently, there were 6 people who knew Naruto's true heritage. Those people were himself, Kakashi Hitake, Jiraiya of the Sannin, Homura Mitokado, Koharu Udateen, and Danzo Shimura. Although he wouldn't be surprised if Itachi Uchiha also knew. Seriously, that boy's intellect sometimes frightened him. When conversing with Itachi, he sometimes had to remember he was chatting with a 9-year-old boy, not a fellow experienced politician. He rubbed his temples. Why did his villagers have to be so ignorant? Report, Nico, he sighed. Hokage-sama, me, Inu-senpai, and Weasel were patrolling the streets when we heard noises coming from an alleyway. We decided to check it out, and saw a group of 12 civilians beating up Naruto-san. Weasel and Inu-senpai have transported those villagers to Aviki-san, and reported to him, while I decided to bring Uzumaki-san to you. His injury seemed to be healing quite quickly, nothing more severe than a couple of bruises here and there. The Kyuubi chakra will probably heal him, so I decided to take him here, instead of the hospital. The Hokage sighed once again. Why have you left me with this, Minato? Thank you, Nico. You are dismissed. Nico just bowed and shinned away. Hiruzen looked at the unconscious Naruto with a sympathetic look. I'm sorry, Naruto. I wish I could do something for you. Naruto groggily opened a single eye and looked around, the light beaming through the window directly landing on his face. He slowly stirred up. Where am I? He mumbled. Ah, Naruto-kun, my boy, you're awake now. It's good to see you again, Hiruzen said with a grandfatherly smile. Naruto just deadpanned. Another thing he wondered, why did some of the villagers call him a demon? As far as he was concerned, he's never so much as hurt a butterfly. He wanted to research it a bit, but he couldn't. The matrons at the orphanage would rarely ever let him read, and whenever he mentioned it to his Gigi, all he would do was ask him to describe the people who would call him that. How was he supposed to remember who would beat him? All he remembered were those hateful glares, and vicious sneers, never the hair, or eye color. Such matters were insignificant. Sometimes he would spy on the other kids at the orphanage when the matrons would interact with them. They were so gentle, and kind to the other kids, but treated him like a stain on the ground, so why? He remembered glaring at one of the matrons when she smiled at a boy who was reading to her, but if you looked close enough at him, underneath the anger, you could see a glint of longing in the boy's eyes. He yearned to be patted on the head, or complimented. He craved attention, due to his lack of it since an early age. Ruto. Naruto. The boy blinked. Sorry about that, Gigi. I kinda spaced out again, he smiled sheepishly, rubbing the back of his head. His surrogate grandfather just smiled at him. Quite all right, my boy. I was wondering if you were hungry? At this the boy's stomach rumbled, speaking for him. They both chuckled at this, nervously in Naruto's case, and teasingly in the Hokage's. Well, my boy, I guess your stomach speaks for you, huh? Yeah, I guess so, he nervously rubbed his head again. Well, let's go then, I have a feeling you'll like this place. Your mother did, after all. He replied, keeping that last part in his head. As they were walking to the ramen stand, Hiruzen tried to start a conversation. Well, Naruto, you start the academy next week, are you excited? Hell yeah, Gigi. I'm gonna be one step closer to taking the hat from you. His grandfather just chuckled at this. I'm sure you will, Naruto-kun. A few of the villagers glared at Naruto, but with the Hokage with him, they did nothing to him. What the villagers didn't see was the cold, icy, calculative stare in Naruto's eyes for a split second, before he went back to his cheery facade. The god of shinobi, however, being a 3-time war veteran, did not fail to pick up on this, and it troubled him greatly. He really hoped Naruto didn't seek revenge on the village. He really couldn't blame Naruto, if he did, but it would break his already fragile heart, to have to label his grandson figure, and his successor's legacy a missing nin, or have to sign his death warrant, but the village came first, anyways, they would cross that bridge when, or if it came. Ah, here we are. Naruto was confused for a second before he smelled a godly aroma. His mouth was watering, and he was put in a trance-like state, just from the smell alone. Before he quickly dashed off to the area the smell was coming. Wait up, Naruto. The Hokage chuckled at this. It turns out Hiruzen's theory was correct. Naruto inherited his mother's love for ramen. Well, hello there. An old, burly voice called out to the boy. He looked up, shocked because for once, someone other than the old man was actually speaking to him. Without glaring or sneering at the boy. Hello. He replied meekly, and a few seconds later, another man, with red and white robes, and a white hat with the kanji for fire walked into the stand. Naruto, why did you run off like that? His grandfather lightly scolded him. Sorry Gigi, it smelled really good and I kinda just followed the smell, he replied sheepishly. Hiruzen sighed. Sometimes Naruto could really be a handful. Naruto, what should I do with you? Gigi shook his head while smiling slightly. You should buy me ramen, Naruto yelled out. Of course, Naruto. We'll have 2 miso ramens, Tuchi. Hiruzen told the man. Of course, Hokage-sama. The man bowed and scurried back to the kitchen. Naruto watched this with awe, he couldn't believe the respect people would give the old man. He wanted that kind of respect as well, which was originally one of the reasons he aimed for the Hokage position, to be acknowledged the same way his Gigi was, but he knew that being Hokage was more than just that. Sometime in his musings, a 10-year-old Ayame walked out of the kitchen and peeked her head out of the back. Her eyes widened as they landed on a tiny Naruto. When he noticed this, tilted his head to the side. Can I help you, miss? He said in a timid voice. Of course, this was too much for Ayame, and she immediately screamed kawaii, and ran at him at speeds that would make the yellow flash jealous, and snagged him in her arms, between her developing bosoms, and squeezed him. His face was slowly turning blue as she wouldn't let go of him, and Hiruzen watched this with an amused expression. Ayame-chan, I believe young Naruto is having trouble breathing, he chuckled. Her eyes widened as she finally noticed the famous Hokage sitting on the stool next to Naruto. She eeped and hopped off Naruto as she fought off a mild blush. Sorry about that. My name's Ayame, and I'm the daughter of the man who owns this place, she said as she sheepishly rubbed the back of her head, in a fashion eerily similar to a certain blue-eyed blonde. Hi. My name's Naruto Uzumaki. The once shy boasted. Naruto? You were named after a ramen topping? Naruto playfully glared at her for this. Nah, I think my name means maelstrom. It's way cooler than a ramen topping, Ayame giggled into her palm at this. 2 miso ramens. The familiar burly voice called out, as the man now known as Tucci placed 2 bowls of ramen on the table. The smell was crispy and savory, and the meal looked mouth-watering. After a call of itadakimasu, the two dug into their meals, Hiruzen with elegance, and Naruto scarfing down the meal like someone who hasn't eaten a good meal before, which he probably hasn't. Wow, it's amazing. Naruto called out. Tucci beamed at the praise, and Ayame jabbed a finger at her chest. Well, of course. We are the best ramen vendors in Fire Country after all." Hiruzen chuckled, as he still had half his ramen left in his bowl. "Well, Naruto, feel any bee?" He paused as his eyes, along with Tsuchi and Ayame's, nearly bugged out their sockets, and their jaws unhinged. At the end of the seats, sat Naruto, rubbing his stomach, with a completely empty bowl, nothing inside, no soup, toppings, or even a remaining noodle. He burped, and sheepishly rubbed his neck. "Phew, that was good," he yelped. Everyone just deadpanned at this. Here, a 6-year-old boy finished a large bowl of miso ramen, filled to the brim, in 32 seconds, breaking Kushina Uzumaki's previous record of 37 seconds. "Well, ahem, if that's all, I will see you next time, Naruto-kun." "Yay, see you next time, old man, Ayame-chan, Tsuchi join," he yelled as he ran back into his apartment. What no one noticed, was as soon as Naruto's door closed, it dropped off all emotion, his face turned into a half-frown, and his eyes steely cold, as he remembered yesterday's events, especially since it was the Kyuubi festival, and his birthday, surprisingly the day he was glared at, and beaten the most. Wait, he froze, mid-step, his eyes as wide as saucers, and his face completely shocked. His heartbeat quickened, and he frantically started thinking. What people didn't realize was that Naruto was one of the most analytical people ever, with an IQ of over 140. At the age of 6, he calmed himself, and fell into a meditative state. And soon enough, he felt a tug in the back of his mind. Drip. 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 Naruto's eyes snapped open as he looked around, and saw a gigantic sewer, that seemed to go on forever. He already theorized that this place was either his mind or gut. He kept walking forward until he saw a gigantic cage. He looked up and saw nothing but darkness until one eye opened, and surely enough, he saw a slitted, bloodshot red eye. It seems my jailer decided to grace me with his presence." A deep, booming voice mocked, as he opened his other eye, and walked forward, baring his glinting sharp teeth. "Hello, Kyuubi. What do you want, Ningen? Is the chakra flowing through your puny veins not enough? Have you come to mock me? Or forcefully steal my chakra?" The voice mocked once again. Naruto, for his credit, didn't even cower, nor flinch. He just chuckled, which angered the fox. "Answer me, human." The voice boomed, and the area was laced with killing intent. However, Naruto seemed immune to it. "Well, in that case," Naruto said as he sat down, in a meditative position, one that made the fox's eyes widen in complete, utter shock, as this position was one he hadn't seen in thousands of years. It was the exact same position the Sage of Six Paths would sit in. "I don't want to steal your chakra, nor do I want to mock you, as I didn't choose to have you sealed inside me. I wish to understand you," Naruto replied, which had the Kyuubi raise an eyebrow. Whatever it was expecting, this wasn't it. Without waiting for the fox to respond, he continued. "The stories I've heard, and the few books I've read have told me that you are a being made up of all the hatred in the world, but that is impractical and illogical. It's pretty obvious to me that the reason you hate humans is because we treat you like mindless beasts, and weapons, and our kind sealing you guys into has probably angered you as well," he replied. "But, seeing as how if one of us dies, so does the other, we should probably become friends, or at the very least, comrades, so let's redo this. My name is Naruto Uzumaki," he said with a serene smile. For a split second, the Kyuubi swore it saw a visage of the Sage of Six Paths behind Naruto, in the same position as him. "Could this boy be the one you talked about, Tosan? Perhaps I'll put my trust in the Ningen race, one more time." The fox smirked, not a smug smirk, or an evil smirk, a friendly smirk. "Kurama. My name is Kurama, Naruto. I will put my faith in the human race one more time. Do not disappoint me, brat," the fox said as he fist-bumped Naruto. "I promise, you won't regret this, Kurama," Naruto said before he grinned, and phased out of his seal, smiling a real smile once, before falling into blissful sleep. Time skip 1 week. Currently, Naruto was henged into a man with shaggy brown hair and green eyes. This was his common henge. He was in a store, looking to buy some new clothes with his stipend. "Hey kid," Kurama speaks up. Naruto replies. "You might be angry with what I say, but I think you should pretend to be a complete idiot, during the academy." Naruto, not one to rush to conclusions, knew Kurama would have a good reason for requesting such a thing. "And why do you say that, Kurama?" "Well, for one, I believe deception would be wise, so you should buy some ugly-looking clothes, preferably bright." Another logical reason would be to keep your head down. You know how the council thinks about you. If they noticed the demon brat was getting strong, it would possibly mean more attempts on your life, and more requests to have you killed by the civilian council, which would be annoying, and give your village leader a headache. Naruto sighed at this. As much as he loathed to admit it, Kurama raised good points, and overall that had more pros than cons. Alright, but only until the final year, graduation day, I go all out. Hi. The fox agreed. Naruto left the store with 5 pairs of a bright orange jumpsuit. The next morning, Naruto walked into the classroom with a slight physical hedge, rendering him shorter, and giving him more face fat. He walked through the door with spiky blonde hair, cerulean blue eyes, a bright blue and orange jumpsuit, and green goggles on his forehead. Yo! My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm gonna be Hokage T-Bio! Naruto screeched out. He practically cringed at himself and heard the furball snicker inside him. He briefly wondered if Kurama actually gave him this idea for his own amusement, before he heard someone scoff and retort, "Yeah right, like an idiot as you could ever become Hokage." A couple of snickers rang across the room. Naruto's eyes narrowed, and went ice cold for a second, before he replied, "Hell yeah I will. Just you wait." It seemed no one noticed his facade slip-up. Except for 2 pairs of eyeballs. One sitting in the Hokage's office, watching through a crystal ball, and the other pair belonging to a certain lazy Nara. It was going to be a long 4 years. 4 years later, Naruto, age 12. A young boy was seen running and laughing through the village, in a bright orange jumpsuit. He had a paintbrush in one hand, and a bucket in the other. This said boy recently painted the Hokage monument entirely. He had a couple of Chunin Han on his tail. Meanwhile, on the other side of the village, Hokage-sama. Naruto Uzumaki has pranked the village again. Hiru's inside. What did he do this time? He painted the Hokage monument. Hokage-sama, Hiru's inside again, for what seemed like the 1000th time that day. He looked out the window and had to stifle a chuckle at what he saw. He saw the 3 Kiges, Shadaime, Nidaime and Sandaime with face paint everywhere, and blood trickling down their noses. However, what he saw next nearly gave him a severe heart attack. For the Yondaime Hokage, he had his hair painted golden blonde, his pupils were cerulean blue, and he had 3 whisker marks on each cheek. Then, a split second later, he thought he actually did get a heart attack. The man choked on his tobacco and nearly fainted when he noticed next to the Yondaime Hokage, was a feminine round structured face, a woman, with a heart-shaped face, long, straight, red painted hair, and a green hairclip on her right braid. Next to the Yondaime's face, was the face of one Kushina Uzumaki. Hiruzen started sweating at this. There was no way Naruto didn't know about his heritage after this. Would Naruto be angry? How long has Naruto known? After this, surely some people, like Hiyashi Hyuga, Mikoto Uchiha, Tsume Inuzuka, and a few of Minato and Kushina's friends would put 2 and 2 together. This spelled trouble. Hiruzen knew Naruto was smarter than he let on, but he didn't know Naruto knew of his heritage already. Does this mean he already knew of his tenant, Ma-sama, Hokage-sama? Huh? Hiruzen blanked. Are you alright, Hokage-sama? You spaced out. Yes, I'm fine. Just capture Naruto, and have him scrub the paint off. At once, Hokage-sama. The man bowed, and left the room, leaving a troubled, and confused Hiruzen. Meanwhile, back in the academy, the students were laughing at one Naruto Uzumaki, tied up, at the center of the classroom. Naruto, why were you pulling pranks again? Humph, because this class is boring. It's utterly useless, most of the facts are either vague or misinterpreted, and I know more than the majority of historic combined. Having a 1000-year-old fox sealed in your gut does its wonders. Naruto said, keeping the last part to himself, however. Well, in that case, class. We're all going to redo the henge today. Everyone just groaned at this. This is all your fault, Naruto Baka. Screeched Ino Yamanaka. Yay Naruto, why do you have to be so troublesome all the time? Shikamaru said. Naruto just huffed indignantly, and turned his head the other way. Sakura Haruno. A pink-haired girl put her hands in the rat hand seal, and after one cry of henge no jutsu, she transformed into Iruka, but a few inches shorter. Nice. A little too short, but practice makes perfect. Cha. Did you see that Kiba-kun? Asked Sakura. Kiba just grinned at her, and raised a thumbs up, making her squeal, and blush. I think it was awesome, Sakura-chan. yelled Naruto. Sakura scowled as she noticed the orange-clad boy. "Shut up, Naruto baka," Sakura yelled as she punched Naruto on the head, making Naruto yelp in pain. "Sorry. Sakura-chan. Geez, does she have to punch me every time? What a coward. I try to make her feel better about herself and she abuses me." Next, Satsuki Uchiha. Satsuki just walked up. Naruto had to admit, she was definitely attractive. With a long black ponytail going down to her hip, and bangs covering her forehead, along with a cute heart-shaped face, and a black top, leaving her shoulders uncovered, with matching black Hanbo-style pants, she was quite the beauty. About 90% of the boys in the class, including Naruto and Kiba, cheered for Satsuki. Satsuki, without even saying a word, just a half-rat seal managed to transform into Iruka, almost perfectly. "Amazing, Satsuki. You really live up to your name as a prodigy, just an inch shorter, and the kunai pouch is facing the wrong way, but extra points for doing it wordlessly, and with a half-seal." Iruka praised, which Satsuki just and smirked at. Of course, all the boys were cheering her, with a few of the girls happy for her, but most glaring at her out of jealousy, due to Kiba cheering her on the loudest, next to Naruto, but it wasn't like she cared about anyone. The class was way too easy for her. Next up, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto walked up to the class, receiving more than a few glares. A couple were even sneering at him. Naruto, however, decided to play another prank, and yelled Oiroke no Jutsu. Once the smoke dissipated, a few boys fainted, and a few passed out from nosebleeds. A couple of the girls were red in the face from either jealousy or anger. There, standing in the smoke, was a beautiful, naked figurine, with curves all over the body, and wisps of smoke covering the intimate areas. Iruka shot back with a nosebleed, and immediately smacked Naruto across the head. "Naruto! What was that, you idiot?" Naruto, for his part, just smirked triumphantly at Iruka. "That, Iruka-sensei, was my very own Oiroke no Jutsu. It can be turned into an A-rank jutsu, or for Kunoikus, the reverse Oiroke no Jutsu. It's the same thing as the Oiroke no Jutsu, except instead of a curvy girl, it's a hunky guy. It serves multiple purposes, including seduction missions, or temporarily stunning an opponent in battle." Iruka, along with half the class, actually had to blink at the rather thoughtful explanation. Iruka would have been rather impressed had the jutsu not basically been offensive to the female gender, or at least that was what Iruka said in his head. "Yeah, whatever. Class is dismissed for today. Remember kids, tomorrow is the graduation exam," Iruka said, specifically looking at Naruto. Most of the kids were chattering excitedly, and once the bell rang, everyone left. "Ah, tomorrow's the big day, eh, Kurama?" Naruto said to his partner, and basically father/older brother figure. "Yup, that's right brat, I can't wait to see the reactions on those kids' faces," Kurama replied as he smirked. Unfortunately for Naruto, he wasn't able to train using Kurama's chakra. He can't activate Kurama's chakra without alerting practically every sensor, Jonin, Anbu, and the Hokage, in the village. Kurama explained to Naruto how merging their chakra would work, for Naruto to become a pure Jinchuriki, the golden chakra mode in Shippuden, but he needed the key to the seal, so the cage would open. Kurama told Naruto that he believed one of the toads currently holds the key to the seal, so more than likely, Jiraiya had the key. "Hey, Kurama, can you take me to my parents' house? I can turn invisible now, and I want to learn the Hiraishin. I already learned the chakra theory, I'm a level 8 Fuinjutsu users, and I know the theory behind the jutsu. I think I can start the practical use of the jutsu now." "Sure brat, turn invisible, and I'll give you the directions." "Alright. Meisai Gakur no Jutsu," Naruto whispered quietly. Instantly, the chakra bent the light fractions around Naruto, so that he turned invisible to the naked eye. Kurama started giving Naruto instructions on how to get to the house. As he expected of his parents, it was a small, humble home. 2 stories, 4 bedrooms, and 3 bathrooms. He had to smear some blood on the doorknob, due to there being a blood seal on the knob, which immediately let him in, after a series of clicks. Naruto had to restrain some tears when he saw pictures of his parents. He started walking around the house, and when he came in front of a certain room, he fell to his knees and started sobbing quietly. In front of him was a small room labeled Naru-chan's room. It was painted orange, with toys all around the room, and a cozy, tiny crib. This could have been all his, but because of a certain masked idiot, he was forced to grow up in a cold, cemented orphanage floor. Kurama was oddly quiet inside the cage, the entire time. After Naruto got a hold of himself, he started walking around again, this time searching for his father's weapons. Kit. Kurama started in an oddly solemn voice, considering his usual teasing tone. Check the basement, there might be something there. It was the off-limits room that your mother never entered, so there might be something there. Naruto simply nodded, and down to the basement. After smearing some blood on the knob, the door opened and what he saw took his breath away. Inside the room were multiple kunai, with the Hiraishin formula on the handle, and 3 prongs, instead of the usual one. There were multiple swords, nadachis, katanas, and even a zanbato, which he believed were his mother's. After all, his mother was the Red Death, the one who single-handedly defeated all 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. Naruto also noticed scrolls for kenjutsu katas, which he would try out later. He sealed one katana, that had a Vanda black handle, and a pure white handle, with a blood-red line going down. This blade also had an extremely thin aura around it. It was called the Seishin Ekisu, Soul Extractor, and it was said to have once belonged to the Shinigami himself. Naruto sealed the Seishin Ekisu, and around 110 of the tri-pronged kunais in the sealing scroll, deciding to keep the rest in here, pocketing the scroll, along with another whisper of Meisai Gakur no Jutsu, he bolted out of his father's home and went back to his apartment. Tomorrow would surely be an interesting day, that much he was sure of. The next morning Naruto woke up, he immediately removed his henge. He ate his breakfast, consisting of white rice, miso soup, and fresh vegetables. He got dressed and looked at himself in the mirror. Standing in front of him, wasn't the orange-clad blonde idiot, with a shit-eating grin. No, standing in front of him, was a 5 feet 5 inches teenager, with a lean build, not overly muscular, but not scrawny, a nice build. He had spiky, shaggy, blonde hair, with 2 bandaged bangs on either side of his head, and purple liner underneath his eyes. He wore black robes, with a high collar, and white outlines. He had 5 magatamas stitched around the collar, and the top of his chest showing, along with a single earring, in the shape of a tomoe, along with piercing, blue eyes, a calm, but stern expression on his face. Instead of a scrawny adolescent aura, his body radiated a powerful, but serene aura. His outfit matched with his black boots, not a shred of face fat, and a sharp jawline. Picture Indra Otsutsuki, but with blue eyes, and blonde hair and the black and white reversed on his outfit. All in all, he looked like a powerful shinobi. Kurama whistled inside his head, looking good for a human, Naruto. Instead of a sheepish head rub, or a nervous chuckle/blush, he just nodded, keeping the stoic expression, and the cold glint in his eyes. Naruto Uzumaki was dead, and Naruto Namikaze was born this day. Still having an hour left, he shunshined in front of the academy, with a book called Advanced Space-Time Theories and Level 10 Fuinjutsu in his hand. He walked into the classroom, and immediately sat at the very back of the classroom, burying his head in his book. Hiruzen Sarutobi caught himself mesmerized by Naruto's new outfit. "Looks like your future girlfriend will have to chase the fangirls off with a stick," Naruto-kun, Hiruzen thought with a chuckle. One by one, the students started piling in. Naruto, while reading his book, also kept an eye on everyone walking in. Most of the kids were irrelevant, nameless civilians, but a couple were clan heirs. He noticed a few people giving him strange expressions, or raised eyebrows, but eventually shrugging it off, figuring the academy instructor would probably explain it, but most people just didn't notice him. Finally, his ears twitched as he heard a familiar screeching, along with stomping. Eventually, 2 girls, one a pinky and the other a platinum blondie, entered the room. "Ha! I came in first, Ino pig. Bit, forehead, my big toe was in front of yours." He had to suppress a sweat drop at this. "I'm sitting next to Kiba-kun." "No, I am forehead." Eventually, Naruto had enough. He put his book down and cleared his throat. When he noticed he had practically the entire class's attention, he just offered, "Why don't you both take one of Kiba's side?" The 2 girls just stared at him strangely, with a tiny blush before Sakura had a shocked expression and Naruto baka? This shocked the entire class, before Naruto just toddled his head to the side, and narrowed his eyes at the entire class at once, before stuffing his face in the book once again. Sakura just snorted at this. "Ha! There's no way that hottie was Naruto baka. He can't go 5 seconds without asking me out on a date, and what is he reading? Advanced Space-Time Theories? Naruto could barely spell chakra right last week." The class laughed at this, before Naruto, without even lifting his head, Just mustered the coldest tone possible, and said in an eerily calm tone, "Appearances can be quite deceiving, Haruno." Everyone flinched at his tone, even Satsuki had to suppress shivers. After gauging everyone's reactions, Naruto mentally thanked Kurama for the lessons on intimidation. Before anyone could get a word in, Iruka walked in the room, with Mizuki beside him. "All right, class, settle down." And everyone fell back into their seats. "Today we will begin the graduation test, so after attendance, everyone come outside, and we'll start with weapon throwing." Iruka went through the names of multiple kids, finally landing on Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto looked up. Here, he lazily lifted a hand. "Naruto Baka, stop acting cool like Kiba-kun." A certain pink-haired girl shouted. "Such petty words mean nothing to me," Naruto replied, without even looking away from his book, once again shocking the entire class, Iruka and Mizuki included. After Iruka snapped from his stupor, he walked out and told others to follow him. Everyone followed Iruka and Mizuki outside, and one by one the kids threw kunai and shuriken at the targets, and hit a few, until Satsuki was called, where she flicked them, and they hit all 10 bullseye except one. She smirked when everyone cheered, seemingly in Naruto's direction, but grit her teeth when she saw he wasn't even paying attention. Wait. Why did she care about the opinion of the dead last? Whatever, she shook herself from her thoughts and walked back to the class. "You were awesome, Satsuki-chan," Kiba yelled, and a lot of fanboys nodded vigorously, but she noticed Naruto didn't even look up from his book, which made her kind of angry. Finally, Iruka called on Naruto, and Satsuki had a smug smirk on her face, wanting to see Naruto fail after ignoring her. Her fantasy didn't last long, however, when Naruto put his book down, and flicked all 10 shurikens lazily, and landed them. Everyone's jaw dropped at this except Hiruzen, who had spied on Naruto practicing in the Forest of Death before. Besides, he'd seen better than that before. Orochimaru, Nidime-sama, and Itachi Uchiha were all much better at Naruto's age than he was, not that he was belittling Naruto or anything. "Just how strong are you, Naruto?" Iruka thought. Well, that was unexpected, good job, Naruto." After that, they took turns sparring Mizuki, and Naruto had Mizuki pinned in under 3 seconds. Afterwards, they all performed the 3 jutsus, with Naruto producing solid clones, but no one needed to know that. Naruto walked home that day with a black headband. Satsuki, Itachi, and Mikado were eating a quiet dinner when Itachi noticed Satsuki was barely eating her tomatoes. "Is something troubling you, Imoto-chan?" Itachi asked Satsuki. She looked up at him and absently noticed her mother was also listening in on the conversation. "Oh, nothing really, it's just something strange happened today, during graduation exams." "Oh? And what happened?" "You know that loudmouth dead last kid in my class, Naruto? The one who screams about becoming Hokage, and always pulls pranks?" Mikado narrowed her eyes. She had suspicions that Naruto was the son of Kushina and Minato, despite Hiruzen telling her that Kushina died with her unborn son the night of the Kyuubi attack, before Itachi nodded, telling her to go on. "Well, today, at the beginning of class, Naruto arrived early today, unlike basically every other day, and he actually looked kind of handsome," she said, blushing a bit at the end. Before giving a chance for either of them to tease her, she continued, "But the strange thing was, he was wearing a black cloak, instead of his ugly orange jumpsuit, and he didn't ask me or Sakura on a date today once. The weirdest part was, he was reading a book called Advanced Space-Time Theories, and Level 10 Fuinjutsu. I mean, I don't think even half the Jonins know Fuinjutsu, and then the class dubby pops in with it." At this, Mikado and Itachi's eyes widened in shock, not knowing someone so young could know about sealing arts, a level 10 no less. It also confirmed Mikado that Naruto was indeed Kushina's son. And then, Naruto breezed through all 3 parts of the exam like it was nothing. He even beat my score. At this point, both Satsuki's relatives knew he was putting up a facade. No way someone could learn that much in a single week. "My, if I didn't know better, I'd think you had a crush on him," Satsu-chan Mikado teased, and laughed gently when Satsuki turned beet red. "Kasan, I'd like to invite him to lunch tomorrow and ask him a couple of questions tomorrow." Mikado raised an eyebrow, and Satsuki looked shocked. "All right, Itachi, you can invite him tomorrow for lunch." Itachi nodded at this, and Satsuki went back to eating her tomatoes. Chapter 3. This week has been a crazy one. One Naruto Namikaze, publicly known as Naruto Uzumaki, amused. Quite a few things happened. including a few rather unexpected ones. He was thinking over the events of the week as he did his morning rituals. Flashback, 6 days ago. Naruto was practicing his taijutsu katas. He sensed Satsuki and Itachi spying on him earlier, but he decided to humor them for a bit, so he acted as if he didn't notice anything. He did notice one thing: Satsuki was masking around 65% of her chakra signature, which was usual for Jinan, but Itachi was only masking around 80% of his signature. He knew as an Anbu, Itachi was supposed to be able to mask at least 85% of his chakra, so more than likely Itachi was testing him to see if he would realize it or not. Naruto finally had enough of it, so he flicked his wrist, and immediately snickered as he heard a kya come from the tree, as he threw 2 shuriken, one in front of Satsuki, and one in front of Itachi. Itachi noticed it coming way before it hit, so he jumped out of the tree, and landed gracefully on his feet. Meanwhile, Satsuki wasn't so lucky, and she fell to the ground with a thud. Both Itachi and Naruto chuckled at her, as Itachi already knew Naruto had spotted them if the occasional glances towards him and his sister meant anything. She glared at Naruto, who was whistling innocently, and marched up to him with a huff, and crossed her arms. "What the fuck was that for, Dobi?" Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Oh? I didn't notice there were 2 people spying on me, I was just practicing my shuriken throwing." Satsuki blushed when he said that and looked away. "Whatever, it was my Nii-san's idea anyways," she mumbled. Naruto turned to Itachi, who was watching all of this with an amused expression. He looked at him as if saying, "Well?" Itachi, catching this expression, continued, "Hello Naruto-kun. I was merely watching you train, but I had no idea Miyamoto-chan was following me." Satsuki blushed even harder at this. Chuckling, Itachi continued, "I was wondering if you wanted to come over to eat dinner with us, this lovely afternoon?" Itachi half-asked/half stated. Naruto raised an eyebrow. "May I ask why?" he questioned. Itachi shrugged. "Well, it would be interesting having someone that can pull off such high-level pranks, and can maintain a facade for 4 years eat with us." Itachi elaborated. Naruto smirked at that. Even Satsuki was quite impressed. Acting like an idiot for such a long time when you're really not can damage your dignity, and it would be really annoying. She probably wouldn't be able to do such a thing. After all, who could? Somewhere deep in a hidden cave in a Megakure, a man wearing an orange mask with black swirls sneezed. Naruto thought over this. Obviously, Itachi had some ulterior motive from this. Maybe Mikado knew of his heritage, and asked Itachi to ask for her? Well, he really had nothing to lose. Besides, when you only have a grumpy old furball to talk to, it gets really lonely, Naruto mused, ignoring the indignant "oi." "Sure, Itachi-san. I don't see a problem with this." "Well, I'll see you two in a couple of hours I guess," Naruto said with a wave. Without waiting for either to reply, he vanished in a leaf sunshine. Satsuki blinked at this. "Nii-san, when'll you teach me how to do that?" Satsuki whined. Itachi inwardly cursed at Naruto for this. He knew Satsuki would pesk him about this, and decided to be flashy anyways. Itachi sighed. He poked her forehead with 2 fingers. "Later, Imoto-chan. Now, let's go back before Ka-san scolds us," he replied, and began tree-hopping back. Satsuki puffed her cheeks and shook her head, and followed her brother. Naruto arrived at the Uchiha district, with his regular cloak, his dirty blonde hair still messy, the purple eyeliner underneath his eyes still there and the bored expression engraved on his face. He knocked at the Uchiha clan head's doors, and not a minute later, Mikado answered the door. When she noticed Naruto she had to fight off a mild blush on her face. It's not like you could blame her, could you? It's been 6 to 7 years since her husband's died, and with no Kushina to call her a cradle robber, there was nothing to stop her. He thought evilly. She was broken out of her musings when she noticed Naruto talking. "Uchiha-san?" he asked. Mikado shook herself out of her thoughts. "It's fine Naruto, call me Mikado, please," she replied with a motherly smile and motioned him to come in. "You have a nice home, Mikado-san," Naruto complimented. "Thank you, Naruto. We were just about to eat, why don't you sit down?" Mikado offered him. "Thank you, Mikado-san," Naruto replied, with a gentle smile on his face, which would make most girls swoon over him. As he walked in, he noticed Itachi and Satsuki both at the table, sitting already. Satsuki looked at him and nodded, to which he nodded back, and after exchanging greetings with Itachi he sat down. After Mikado put the food on the table, and a chorus of "Itadakimasu" they dug in. "Your food tastes amazing, Mikado-san, But I have to say it's a lot better eating with others, he said with a soft smile. They frowned at this, realizing how lonely it must be, to have lived alone since the age of 6. Don't worry, Naruto, you can come here to eat anytime you'd like, Mikado told him. Itachi started some small talk. So, Naruto, I hear you graduated as Rookie of the Year. Naruto shrugged. As you said earlier, I put a facade the past 4 years. I should graduate as Rookie of the Year, but I wouldn't be surprised if the instructors sabotaged me. Naruto replied. Satsuki raised an eyebrow. Why would the instructors sabotage Naruto? She knew his pranks were annoying, but surely sabotaging him would be taking it too far? Both Mikado and Itachi frowned. They, unlike Satsuki, knew why Naruto was treated this way and shook their heads at the stupidity of most of the citizens. Oh, that's right, Satsuki doesn't know, does she? Naruto questioned. Know what? Satsuki asked suspiciously. Before either Mikado or Itachi could intervene, Naruto replied the Kyuubi is one of the 9 Baijuas. There's the one-tailed raccoon, the two-tailed cat, the three-tailed turtle, the four-tailed monkey, the five-tailed horse, the six-tailed slug, the seven-tailed beetle, the eight-tailed ox, and the nine-tailed kitsune. Itachi was slightly impressed with Naruto's knowledge of the Baijuas. He deduced that if Naruto knew this, he must have a relationship with the fox. What most people don't know is that a Baiju is a creature made out of chakra, with a soul in it, so technically a tailed beast cannot be killed. Instead, the Yondaime sealed the Kyuubi inside of me, and people believe that I am the reincarnation of the Kyuubi, Naruto said, with a scoff at the end. Satsuki was shocked and angry at this. She now knew why people would glare at him so hatefully, but did they really not trust the Sundaime's word, or the Yondaime's Fuinjutsu skill? Naruto continued, without waiting for a response. The Yondaime would have sealed it in himself, but it has to be sealed inside of someone young because the chakra coils would fry if an already developed system were to merge with demonic chakra, and the Yondaime was too noble of a man, so he wouldn't have sealed the Kyuubi in a random orphan. After all, who better to trust with such a burden, than your own son? He stated carelessly. Whether Satsuki would hate him, or kiss up to him, or react indifferently wasn't his problem. All three widened their eyes when he said this. Itachi already knew this, Mikado suspected it, and Satsuki had no idea. However, my Jinchuriki status is an S-ranked secret, and as for my heritage, not even the Hokage knows I know this. All evidence tracing back to my father, Minato Namikaze, and my mother, Kushina Uzumaki, the Red Death, has been erased or redacted, except for one file, locked in a top-secret vault in the Hokage's office, which he'll use to prove my heritage when the time comes. And how do you know this, Naruto? Mikado asked with a raised eyebrow. Naruto shrugged. It's not hard to notice. I read Kushina Uzumaki's file. It said she was in a relationship with the fourth. I was born the same day she died. She was the previous host of the Nine Tails. I have the same blonde hair and blue eyes as the fourth. Isn't it a logical conclusion that they are my parents? Naruto asked with a deadpan. Itachi's sweat dropped, Mikado sheepishly nodded, and Satsuki was still too shocked to say anything. Perceptive of you, Naruto-kun, Itachi commented. Naruto merely shrugged. It wasn't hard to notice if you weren't so biased against him, which, most of the village was. Well, I'm gonna go now. Thank you for the invitation, Itachi, and thank you for the meal, Mikado-san. Well, I'll see you next week, Satsuki, Naruto said, and left the house with a shunshine. Flashback end. Another flashback, 2 days earlier. Naruto was sitting on top of the Yondaime's head, on the Hokage monument, with his legs dangling over the edge, watching over the village, when suddenly he sensed a presence behind him. He threw a kunai behind him, in speeds that would make most Chunin envious, and when he looked behind him, he saw an old man, with black spiky hair, an X-shaped scar on his chin, a bandaged left eye and arm, and a cane. Naruto narrowed his eyes. The man seemed familiar, but he couldn't put his finger on where he'd seen the man before. The man suddenly disappeared, and Naruto's danger senses screamed at him to move. At the last second he narrowly dodged a whack from the man's cane, and barely dodged another vicious kick to the stomach. Damn, this old dude is good. He must be a veteran shinobi. Naruto mused, as he exchanged blows and dodges with the mysterious man. Just as Naruto thought he was about to gain an edge over the man, he threw his cane in the air, and in high Jonin level, bordering cage-level speeds, he hit Naruto in the chin with a roundhouse kick, and shunshin behind Naruto, and pinned him to the ground, arms behind his back, and his right leg on Naruto's back. Very good for your age and rank, Rookie Janan. I'd give you a low tuning rank, mid tuning tops. The man stated calmly. Who are you? I can tell you're a veteran shinobi, and judging by your lack of a Konoha Hitai-8, I can rightfully deem you a threat, Naruto stated with a cold tone. He was sweating on the inside, however. Who is this guy? He's so strong, but he has to be at least the age of the sun daimyo. Wait. He must be Danzo Shimura, the Warhawk, a student of the Nidaime Hokage, and Gigi's old rival. That's why he's so strong. Danzo chuckled a mirthless chuckle at this. Boy, you may be good for your age, but you're years too young to even hold a candle to me, which is what I wanted to talk to you about, he stated. Naruto narrowed his eyes. He knew of Danzo's Rudanbu, and his militaristic ideals. My name is Danzo Shimura, and I protect Konoha from the dark. I am one of Nidaime's students and an old teammate of Hiruzen Sarutobi's. I can train you if you'd like. With my help, I can make you a force to be reckoned with. I can already tell you have potential so high that you can surpass the likes of Madara Uchiha, Nidaime Hokage and your father. Danzo noticed Naruto's eyes widen and smirked a little. Naruto knew if Danzo knew of Naruto's heritage, he obviously knew of Naruto's Jinchuriki status. He deduced that Danzo wanted to mold Naruto into an emotionless tool under his command, and would obviously decline, but he decided he would humor the man. I'll think about this, Naruto said calmly. Danzo turned around with a rare tiny grin on his face, thinking he'd won. Soon. Konoha'll be under my rule. Just you wait, Hiruzen, I'll take good care of the tree that is Konohagakure. Flashback end. Naruto was getting changed into his clothes right now, getting ready to head to the academy for team assignments. After getting changed, brushing his teeth, and a bowl of rice, he shunched into the academy. Yawn, morning, brat. Today's the day you get your sensei, correct? Kurama questioned Naruto, as he stretched inside Naruto's cage. Morning, Kurama. Yeah, today's the day I get assigned to a Jonin cell. I wonder who I'll have on my team? Soon enough, Naruto arrived in front of the door. He sensed multiple chakra signatures inside the classroom, so he thought he'd entertain his class a bit. He opened the door, grabbed the ledge of the door top, and using chakra manipulation swung onto the ceiling of the class, walked over to his desk and sat down, gaining stunned and odd looks from the students. Even Iruka had an impressed look on his face. Back in the Hokage's office, the Jonin senseis and the Hokage were gathered and peering into the Hokage's crystal ball. Needless to say, Hiruzen was sporting a huge grin on his face, and the Jonins were stunned, while Kakashi had an eyebrow raised, using chakra manipulation to stick onto surfaces? Asuma Sarutobi, the son of Hiruzen Sarutobi questioned. But that's a tuning level technique, replied Genma Shiranui, one of the few shinobi who had nothing personal against Naruto. But isn't the Uzumaki boy the dead last of his class? Asked a baffled Kurenai, the girlfriend of Asuma Sarutobi, and a recently promoted Jonin of Konoha, also the Genjutsu mistress of Konoha, only bettered in the art of Genjutsu by Itachi Uchiha. Well, appearances can be quite deceiving, huh? Said Kakashi Hitake, the copycat ninja, prized student of the fourth, with his trademarked eye smile, but inwardly he was just as confused. I had no idea Minato-sensei's son was this good. Tuning level chakra control at the age of 13, and putting up a facade. Sensei, your son is just as much of a prodigy as you were? Back in the academy, Naruto was sitting in his desk, waiting for assignments, and noticed everyone staring at him. What? He snapped, shocking everyone out of their stupors. When did Naruto Baka get this cool? Thought a certain pink-haired girl, with a red dress and a red Hitai-8. Cha. That idiot is probably just acting cool to make Kiba-kun look bad, and make me fall for him. Well, it ain't working, Naruto Baka, yelled her inner consciousness. Naruto Baka. Stop acting cool. Screeched Sakura. Naruto just glared at her, making her shrink back down. Keep your comments to yourself, Haruno, Naruto said in a cold tone, making her flinch and unknowingly making a certain mask-wearing gray-haired Jonin frown. Iruka faked a cough to get the attention of the class. Well, now that Naruto is here, I'll start with the teams. Team 1, Shigeru Uzuki, Nami Ito, Oboro Suzuki, your sensei is Genma Shiranui. Iruka droned on. Naruto stopped paying attention and began playing with his kunai absently. Team 7, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto perked up when he heard his name. Sakura Haruno. Sakura groaned when she heard this. Naruto just sighed and crossed his arms. It could have been absolutely anyone, and I just had to get the screecher? It was only his training of keeping his emotions in check, and Kurama consoling him, saying something about killing her on a mission and pretending it was a bandit, making him inwardly sweat drop. That stopped him from cursing the gods out loud. And Satsuki Uchiha, your Jonin sensei is Kakashi Hitake, Naruto sighed again. The screecher with no skills and the stubborn girl who had a superior complex? Did Kami hate him or something? 2 hours have passed, and they're the only ones left. Where is our sensei? Sakura Haruno screeched for the 100th time. Even Satsuki was starting to get a little impatient. Naruto just sat down, his head on his palm, staring lazily at the door. Satsuki was sitting in her chair, seeming calm, but you could tell by her knuckles tightening, and her legs shaking that she was also getting quite irritated. A minute later, the door opens and a man with silver spiky hair, a face mask, and a Hittite covering his left eye walks in. Not a second after he walks in, a kunai whizzes past him at low jonin speeds. Only with his years of experience as a jonin and ex-onbu, was he able to dodge it. He narrowed his eyes to guess who did it, but didn't need to, as he noticed Naruto with an indifferent expression on his face, but a closer look and you could see a tiny smirk on his face. Sakura and Satsuki both had eyes wide as dinner plates, jaws dropped. Naruto baka. Why would you do that? Sakura yelled at him, preparing to bonk him on the head, but a little killing intent from Naruto made her freeze in her tracks. Calm down Haruno, I only threw that at Chunin speeds. A jonin should have been able to easily dodge it. If he dodged it, good for him. If he didn't, well, the shinobi standards have dropped, Naruto said, his smirk growing into a small grin at the end of his speech. Kakashi was shocked, but soon snapped out of his stupor. Well, first impression, you're alright. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. Kakashi ordered. Satsuki and Naruto shunshin to the roof, Naruto in less than 2 seconds, arriving a split second after Kakashi, and Satsuki took a little longer, due to her being new to the technique. It seems Itachi really did teach her the technique, Naruto thought with a small chuckle, whilst Sakura had to run to the rooftop. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. Not one, but 2 of his students knew the shunshine. It seemed Kami gifted him with 2 prodigies on his squad. But just because of this didn't mean he would neglect his 3rd student. He was shortly broken out of his musings when a huffing and sweating Sakura entered the vicinity. She widened her eyes the moment she saw Naruto leaning on a rail, hands in his pockets, eyes closed, and Satsuki opposite to him, lying on the ground with a bored expression on her face. How in Kami's name did Naruto baka and Satsuki both get here before me? Kakashi clapped his hands. Well, now that my students are here, why don't you introduce yourselves? He asked. How do we do that, sensei? Sakura questioned. Well, you know, likes, dislikes, hobbies, goals for the future. I'll start. My name's Kakashi Hitake. My likes and dislikes are none of your business. Hobbies, training. Goals for the future, don't have one. All 3 face faulted at this, even Kurama sweat dropped. All we learned was his name. Was the common thought. Pinky you next. She glared at the nickname but went next anyways. My name is Sakura Haruno, I like Kiba-kun, she said with a squeal. I hate Naruto baka. She glanced at Naruto to see his reaction and huffed when she noticed his eyes closed, a bored look on his face, arms crossed. My hobbies are doing my hair, and my dreams for the future. Her face turned completely red at this. Alright, you next, sunshine. He pointed at Satsuki. Satsuki Uchiha, I like tomatoes, dislike a lot of things, and my dream is to surpass my brother one day. Kakashi nodded and pointed at Naruto. Last, and maybe least, Blondie. Naruto cracked open one eye. You know me. I like my dislikes, and dislike my likes. Sakura just regarded this as Naruto spouting nonsense. Satsuki was confused at this, but Kakashi was very, very impressed. He knew it meant Naruto had guilty pleasures, and admitted it, but at the same time, disliked the fact that he had such things. Looks like I struck gold with this one. Kakashi mused. My hobbies are reading, since I have an eidetic memory, and my dream. I wish to unite the world. All 3 widened their eyes at this. Kakashi half expected Naruto to say something silly, like scream about becoming Hokage, or learn a bunch of cool jutsu, and Satsuki and Sakura were just downright surprised. Yes, I feel there's too much conflict in this world, even though we don't live in a time of war, or during the Warring Clans era, it's still quite irritating, don't you think? Getting a knock at your door, opening it to find a Nanbu, or a Chunin at the door, only to find out that your dad, or wife, or your son died on a mission, or in battle. The life of a shinobi is a curse, We are nothing more than simple mercenaries, who get set out on missions, and paid to perform said mission. There are no heroes in the shinobi world. Only fools believe in such a thing. Where there is a light, there is a darkness. Take the Yondaime Hokage for example. After he single-handedly annihilated the 1,000 Iwanins, and ended the war, we, Konoha, thought of him as a hero, right? But what about it from Iwa's point of view? Imagine yourself as a housewife, doing the dishes one day, or as a child, playing with your toys, and you get a knock at your door. You open it to find a Jonin. You recognize him as one of your husband/dad's friends, and he tells you that said man died in battle, along with 900 plus other shinobi. How would you feel after such a thing? I wish to stop such things from happening. That's why my first task towards world peace will be to become the Hokage, he said with conviction in his voice and eyes. Kakashi's jaw was on the floor, lone eye the size of a dinner plate. Kami. Such philosophies at such a young age. He already knows what it means to be a shinobi. What have you gone through, Naruto? Thought Kakashi. Naruto. Thought Satsuki with concern. Sakura was nearly in tears by the end of the speech and was questioning her decision to become a shinobi in the first place. She became a shinobi to get closer to her Kiba-kun, and because she thought ninjas were cool, spouting jutsu left and right, and kicking ass, and saving princesses. Never once did she think an ounce as deep as Naruto did. Well. Kakashi clapped his hands. That was one hell of a speech, huh? Well, you three aren't Genins just yet, Kakashi said ominously. Out of you 27 hopefuls, only 9 of you will become Genin, Kakashi continued. Meet me here at 5 a.m. sharp, tomorrow morning, and by the way, don't eat breakfast unless you want to throw up. Johnny, Kakashi said as he left in a swirl of leaves. Well, I don't know about you two, but it would be stupid not to eat breakfast. He was probably testing us. See ya, Naruto said, as he also left in a sunshine, Satsuki vanishing a moment later, leaving Sakura to her thoughts. 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 A moment later,